Hello everyone and welcome to the second video in the Windows Server 2019 Basics series. This is called Initial Settings, and judging by the title we are going to go through some initial settings. In this video I just want to show you what I do after installing a Windows Server, so what are my initial settings that I like to make. And these may include, for example, setting up the server name, changing the default one, and why not also configuring the networking settings. But let's see actually the list of what we are going to do. Here it is. First we are going to configure networking settings like IP address, subnet mask, default gateway, and why not also DNS servers. Then we have to change also the computer name. Why do we need to do that? Well, if you are curious, after you install a Windows Server, you can check and see that the name is not very easy to remember. If you have a naming convention in your company or just install some test servers, you may want to have easier to remember names. Then I will configure some firewall rules. Actually just two of them. One is for ping, because the firewall rule for ping is disabled by default, and the other one is for file sharing, in case you want to access administrative shares on that machine. Then we enable the remote desktop, because it's Windows, of course. And one last thing I like to do is set the correct time zone for my location. This is just something I prefer. The time actually, if you set it correctly on your host, it will be correctly set on the virtual machine, but I want it to be also for my current time zone. So enough with the talking, let's get to work. So here is the server that I installed previously, and if you left it exactly like after we installed it, you are greeted with this screen. First thing I do, which I did not mention, is check this checkbox and close this window so it doesn't appear anymore. We'll get to what it says in that dialog box a little later. And we have the server manager from which we will do a couple of the things mentioned in that list. Let's begin with the networking settings. Click on local server. And we can set our networking settings from this link. So this is our network card. It's called Ethernet. And by pressing on that, we are brought to the actual network card object, let's say. Right click and go to Properties. And we are going to set only the IPv4 address. In my case, I am going to set 192.168.20.1. The subnet mask is placed automatically correctly. And as a default gateway, even though I'm not using one, I will set 192.168.20.254. And for a DNS server, again, I'm not using one at the moment, but I will set the local server just to have it set. And we are done with the networking settings. Next, let's change the name. So as I mentioned, we have the computer name, and it's not that easy to remember. Let's change it. We click on Change, and we set it to lab-dc01. It will require a restart, but we can restart it later. It's not mandatory to restart it now. Let's move on to the firewall. To access the firewall, you could either search in the Start menu or go to Control Panel. Make sure you select large or small icons and you find it here. And then just select Advanced Settings. We want to configure just inbound rules in our case. And first, for the ping, we have to go to File and Printer Sharing and enable Echo Request ICMPv4 in. For the file sharing, we have to enable SMB. So we are done also with the firewall rules. Let's enable Remote Desktop. This is also done from the Server Manager. You see it here, Remote Desktop disabled. And we can enable it. You can also do this from the Settings menu. Go to Settings, System, and find Remote Desktop. And last thing, we have to set a time zone. Again, it's not mandatory, but I like to have my time on the server matching my current time. So here we just say change time zone and find your current time zone. For me it's UTC +2. And basically that's it. The only thing we need to do now is of course restart the server so the name can change. Hey everyone, thanks a lot for watching. If you found the video at least a little useful, please like, share and subscribe. It would help me a lot. Thank you again and see you in the next one.